Hey guys, my name is Tim and I'm the Master Mechanic at Zeiten BMW Mobile Services. Today in this video we're going to talk about the BMW X5 E70 right behind me. This is the second generation of the BMW X5 and it has been produced since 2007 till 2013. This, in my opinion, the best looking X5 so far, and we're going to talk about what to look for when you're planning to buy one, what years are the best to buy one, what kind of engines better to choose, what are the most reliable ones, and what are the most common issues and how much it costs to fix it actually. This X5 throughout the production years had 6 different engines. The first one would be N52. It's a 6-cylinder 3-liter engine, naturally aspirated, in my opinion, the most reliable one. Second one was the N62 engine, B48. That's a V8 engine, plenty of known problems, don't recommend this one. The next engine was N54. It's a 6-cylinder 3-liter engine with twin turbos. Pretty good engine, a lot of power, and most of all, very known engine to this day. The next one is N55, which is, I would say, it's a better version of N54 because they simplified the technology and it has a single turbo, not that many components, so in my opinion that's the best way to have a turbo engine. And the last one is the N63 V8 twin turbo. Geniusly designed, it's very interesting engine mechanically, but it inherited the problems of the previous one, N62. So you will have some problems of N62 and you will have the problems related to turbos. It's 2 turbos right on top where the intake manifold should be on the V8. There's turbos there now. So those are 6 engines, and in my opinion the best one to go is N52 engine. It's a 3-liter 265 horsepower, and those are the most reliable. There is also one more X5, but it kind of falls in a different category. It's X5M. It has been produced since 2011 till 2013. It has a S63 engine with 600 horsepower, and it's a twin turbo V8 producing, like on this X5, as I remember correctly, it's 555 horsepower. Beautiful car. You can find some of them on the market in the price range between $20,000 and $30,000 as of right now. Today is 2019, the end of 2019, and I think it's a pretty good bang for a buck. The regular X5 with all the engines I mentioned before, not X5M, start the lowest on the market right now is $4,555 for 149,000 miles X5 2007 with the V8 engine. And the V8 engine over time goes lower in price than the 6-cylinder engine. There is a reason for that. It's higher maintenance car and it has way more problems than 6-cylinder engine. The price range for the regular X5 ranges between $4,500 to approximately $20,000, the lower end of the X5M, and that would be something like 2013 BMW X5 with the N55 engine and approximately 60,000 miles on the clock, which is pretty much a decently newish car in my book. I love this generation X5. I think it looks just amazing from the front, side, and the back. I think this is one of the best designed X5. Even when we have a 2019-2020 model, it's just not that great. This one is sporty, it handles great, and it's very roomy inside. It has an option of 7 seats. This X5 behind me is the 2010 model, and in my opinion this is the best year to buy this X5s. The reason why, because all of them 2007 till 2013 will look the same inside and out, but 2010 model, it's the best of both worlds. It will have a 3-liter naturally aspirated engine. That's the last year this engine has been put into those X5s. And it will have updated iDrive, which doesn't really make much sense if you don't care about it, but it makes the interior of the car look so much newer. It looks modern, and it's just looks great overall, because previous generation iDrive, years 2007, 8, 9, it just like makes the car a little bit outdated, even though it will look great outside, great inside, but the moment you turn on the iDrive, it will say like, hey, this car is already 10 years old. Since 2011, the only engines you can get in the X5 would be turbo engines. Doesn't matter if it's 6-cylinder turbo or 8-cylinder turbo, all of them are turbo engines. And if you ask me, I would always choose N55 over N54 or N63, because it's a simpler design, it has less problems, and from experience of fixing BMWs every day, I can tell that's the one we have the less problem with. So I would choose, if you're choosing the car between 2011 and 2013, which will have facelifted version, it will have different O-rings, angelized in the front, and it will have LED lights in the back. So that's the only difference. It will of course have the updated iDrive, and that's pretty much it. Let's get to what to look for when you're getting one. And we start with this one. It's once again 3-liter naturally aspirated engine. First of all, as any BMW owner knows, and I would say any German car owner knows, first thing you look for is the oil leaks. That's the most common things, and on those cars there is at least 3 major spots where the oil leaks. First is the valve cover gasket. That will run you approximately around $450 to fix for parts and labor. The next 2 gaskets are located pretty much at the same spot, and those are oil filter housing gasket and oil filter housing to heat exchanger gasket. Alrighty, to look for the valve cover gasket leak, well, the first noticeable thing is when you start the car and after a minute or 2 it starts smoking. It starts smoking from here. You'll see the smoke coming out, and the best thing you can see if it's oil leaking here, it would be right here on this metal part. This is where it would be all oily, black and yellow most likely. Here it would be a lot as well, and on this shield as well. So this is where the valve cover gasket leaks because of the engine placement, and the reason why it smokes, because it goes to the exhaust manifold, which gets hot pretty quick, and it just burns. That's what happens. The next spot is the oil filter housing gasket, and this is the one right here. It's really hard to see, but it's right down there between the engine block and this is the oil filter housing. So to look for the leak, you would look right there and see if there is the same spots, usually black and yellowish from the oil. The other gasket, this is between oil filter housing right here and the heat exchanger, so it goes right there. So it's 2 gaskets at the same spot. If you change one, you definitely want to change another one. This will run you approximately $400 for parts and labor. And the next spot in this area, also result of negligence of bad oil change places, it's the oil filter O-ring. Very simple to replace. Every oil filter comes with the O-ring, 2 O-rings actually. One small one, it actually controls the pressure for the Vana solenoids, which is important. The other one, the large O-ring, it just prevents the oil filter cap from leaking. So some oil change places don't replace that, and it can be a huge leak from this spot right here. Next spot is the oil pan gasket, but this one usually lasts for a while, and it has to be replaced between 120 and 150,000 miles usually. All the other gaskets, those are rubber gaskets, valve cover gasket, oil filter housing gaskets. Those have to be replaced every 80 to 100,000 miles, but don't let the mileage be your only thing you look for. Always inspect the car, even if it has a 60, 80, like 70,000 miles, but it's like 10 years old. Look for the spots. If it's there, you need to replace that, and it's a good bargain to lower the price if you're looking to buy one. Next thing, I'm going to talk about the very common issue on this particular engine, N52, and it doesn't matter if it's an X5, 5 Series, 3 Series, 1 Series, X1, X3, it doesn't really matter. The next problem, all of them suffering, is the starter. The starter on those engines is not about the mileage at all, because if you do short trips, 2 miles here, 2 miles there, you start the car often. Starters always about amount of starts you have in there, and you can have a 200,000 mile car with the still original starter, and you can have a 60,000 mile car with starter already has been replaced. So I don't know why, but it fails pretty often on this N52 naturally aspirated engine, as well as the 6-cylinder turbo engines. This problem, although doesn't follow to the V8 engine, they usually don't suffer from the starter issue. So on a 6-cylinder engine, it costs between 500 and 550 parts and labor to replace the starter on those cars. The X5 has 2 different climate controls. One is 2-zone, so there's the controls of the AC and the heater only in the front, and 4-zone climate control. So you will have the rear passengers will have their own controls for the heater and AC, and mechanically that makes a difference, because 2-zone climate control will have only one belt that connects everything: the AC compressor, the alternator, power steering pump, and the crankshaft pulley. And the 4-zone climate control will have the separate belt for the AC compressor and its own. It doesn't have the tensioner, so it have to be stretched in there. And what that means is more belts you have, more money you'll spend on maintenance. It's not a lot, but it will make a difference. That's pretty much it. The X5s are usually more reliable than, let's say, 3 and 5 series. The reason why, it has more room under the hood, and for instance, the cooling system, the hoses, the reservoir, the radiator, and all that stuff, they kind of have more room to ventilate the heat and to get rid of this heat. So for some reason, the hoses and all the plastic components of the BMW X5 3-liter engine cooling system last a little bit longer, but still, cooling system has to be serviced every 80 to 100,000 miles, and the major component in here, the pretty expensive repair, is the water pump and thermostat replacement, which is the main thing you have to do between 80 to 100,000 miles. This will run you approximately $950 to $1,000 for parts and labor to do, and it's mostly parts that are expensive. It's a fully electric pump. It has 2 different water pumps. One is for 2-zone climate control, and the other one for 4-zone climate control. There is no big difference price-wise. It's just like something you have to know, or provide your VIN number for your parts supplier or store you're buying your parts from. Interestingly enough, but the front fenders are actually made of plastic, and it's a whole thing right here. The actual bumper is just this not painted part. So if you have to replace the fender, first of all, it's going to be pretty light, but the second, it's just this huge piece, and it's most likely cost expensive. I don't know how much really, but from the look of it, it's definitely not little. transmission wise and the drivetrain, well, comparing this X5 to the previous generation one, as I said in the previous video, there are problems like splines getting grinded on the front drive shaft. It's just not happening in here. I never had one that I had to replace the front drive shaft on this E70 X5 so far, and it's been plenty on repairs. Second thing, the transfer case doesn't seem like much is happening in there, so I wouldn't worry about that either. But the other thing is transmission. Transmission in this one, it's a 6-speed ZF transmission, and there's a regular service that has to be performed at least at 80,000 miles. If you haven't done it, if it's 100,000 miles, I would recommend you do it. It's mechatronic seal replacement, mechatronic sleeve replacement, new fluid, new oil pan with the filter. The next thing is suspension. This is a very comfortable car, and it has a multi-link suspension. There is well, you can see this one is sitting on the rims from the V8. Those are OEM rims, BMW. It's a 20-inch rim. The front has an enormous 275 tire in the front, and the back is 315. So this is huge, and those are 20-inch. In my opinion, it doesn't really make sense to have those wheels in there, but it looks so good. Let's get inside the car. And there's many different packages and options on any BMW, and X5 is no exception. I love this leather color, and this is a sport package, but the problem with the sport seats, if you can take a look right here, every time you're getting out of the car, those things that go down like this, they hit against the plastic, and this is what happens over time. And this car has only 100,000 miles on it, but in my opinion, sport package comes with the best looking steering wheel except M. This is the one that really I was looking for. That was my specific request for this leather color and this steering wheel, because the other one, it just looks ugly. I don't know, just in my opinion, it just looks like an alien somehow. Like, I don't really like it at all. Inside the car, in the front, we have two standard cup holders, and right here there's a cigarette lighter, ashtray, standard BMW stuff, but I always keep it closed. How to tell new iDrive from the old one, even without turning the screen on? It's this control panel right here. This is the newer type iDrive. The older one will have this knob right here and only probably one button right here. The rest wouldn't be there at all. So this way you can tell, is it newer or older iDrive. Here, standard BMW Controls. I don't know if anyone uses the CDs now. Not really. Here's the option for the heater, heated seats, standard 3 types of heating, max, medium, minimum. Then we have controls for the AC or heater, and in my opinion it's simpler like here, because you can easily control it with the knob and just turning it from side to side. That's the best way to do it. AC, no AC, automatic mode, whatever. Inside right here we will have, well, first of all, there is a auxiliary in right here inside, and there is also, I have a charger here, it's a fast charger, but there is also a USB port right here as well. And the thing is, in 2010 there is a, you can connect your phone to the Bluetooth, but you cannot play your music through the phone using the Bluetooth. So you'll have to use auxiliary cable, and if you want to use your phone with the Bluetooth, you better stick with 2012 model because it's a factory option out there. If you want to use the Bluetooth in your 2010 X5 with updated iDrive, you can replace and retrofit the COM box, and it's a weird procedure, but it can work. So there is a way to do it. There's an interesting thing right here about the glove box. The button is right there and it opens like that. I haven't seen anywhere. What do we have also here? There's huge door panels, and we have plenty of room in the pockets in there. And well, standard BMW stuff like memory for the seats, probably like 8 or 12 ways of adjusting the seats. Nothing special, just standard BMW stuff. Getting in the back of the X5, and I feel comfortable, but mind you, I'm not that tall. I'm 5'9", so I have plenty of leg room, and there's a very good option right here, like on 7 Series. Like you can lift this down, get the cup holders, and drive pretty comfortable. There is also a huge sunroof. It's one big thing, and it ends right here. There's on some X5 there are options like those privacy screen. You can lift it up here and on the side, but I don't have it. The trunk of the X5, first of all, you can open it from the key. Just hold it for a couple seconds and it goes all the way up like in a new car, and also you can close it the same way, which is pretty cool. But it's not something you can impress people right now because all of the cars do that, but BMW X5 has it since 2007 from the very first models, and in my opinion, like, yeah, it's a very cool feature. Like we can also do it from the button if the car unlocked, and we have right here lots of room for anything you want. There's plenty of space. That's why this car is awesome for travel. We use it for skiing trips and whatever. It's also all-wheel drive. That's why we don't have to put chains on those big tires. Here is an interesting thing. Some X5s have different options, but this one comes with just a little bit more room in there, so you can store some stuff. It's a very good thing to have, and also you can close it, kinda. I mean, it's a plastic thing, but it will not let anyone open this compartment if you don't want them to. Especially good for the San Francisco, where the back window gets broken a lot. Happened to me not only once but twice, so just a little security option for the trip. This is it for review of this particular BMW X5 E70, and to sum it all up, I would say 2010 with the 3-liter naturally aspirated engine is the best and safe bet for reliable BMW X5. Of course, there's going to be plenty of people who want more power, the V8 power and all that stuff. Yeah, go for it, but don't forget about the problems I mentioned before in the previous BMW X5 video E53. Like, V8 engines have very expensive maintenance, and they are breaking down more often than the 3-liter engine. Overall, this is a good car to buy, and I think it's gonna last for a while because I've seen the 3 Series with the 300,000 miles already, and we just keep maintaining them and everything runs good. This X5 has a tendency to do the same, and if you're looking to buy a car, particularly X5 E70, and have any questions, please ask in the comments below, and I'll try to reply as soon as I can and answer all your questions you have regarding this vehicle. And Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you guys soon.